Do I turn this into somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We will call to order the meeting of the Green Bay Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission meeting for Monday, February 17th, 2020. We'll call the members. Got Chairman, Member D'Antino, Alderman Craig Stevens, from the Police Department, Brad, myself, Matt Keeper is Chairman, the wonderful Dave and Stacy, so we're ready to roll.
Okay, so just for record, Bridget,
Okay.
Ray, and Stephanie are excuse absences tonight.
Okay. Go to item B, approval of the agenda. Approval of the Monday, February 17, 2020 Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission meeting agenda. Do I hear approval of our agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of B and C, the agenda and the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. D, regular business. Report by the Police Department of 2019 fourth quarter serious injury and fatality crashes.
For the City of Green Bay, fourth quarter, there was one traffic fatality. It occurred on Sunday, October 6th at 3:44 p.m. Green Bay Police Department officers were dispatched to the 2500 block of Dunbar Lane for the report of a van versus pedestrian crash. When the officers arrived, they found a Good Samaritan and then ultimately personnel from Green Bay Fire and Rescue performing life-saving measures on a 2-year-old female that had been struck. The investigation determined the child ran from the front of a residence behind a van backing from a private driveway when she was struck by the van. The driver of that van immediately stopped to render aid. The victim, again a 2-year-old Green Bay resident, was transported to a local hospital where she was pronounced deceased. No criminal charges have been requested as this fatality appears to be a very tragic, unfortunate accident. Members of the Green Bay Police Department, my traffic unit, reconstruct the crash scene. And that was the one and only for the fourth quarter.
Bad one, though.
Motion to receive, place in file.
Motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Initial request, consideration with possible action on request by the traffic engineer to establish a one-way stop condition at Black Sheep Way at Spartan Road.
If you look at the map, actually in this field here, there's a new subdivision that is going in. Actually, I think I have a copy of the plat. You can see the roadway network that is being constructed. So here's Spartan Road, north-south, Luxembourg tees in, so just south of there, there's a roadway called Black Sheep Way, that's teeing into it. Snakes around, curves around, turns into Mendota Drive. So there's a number of things that we'll do from a staff perspective. The only thing that we need is for Traffic Bike and Ped Commission to approve of the one-way stop condition. That would be Black Sheep eastbound as it tees into Spartan Road. And because this is more of a functional requirement than anything else, a 90-day trial, I'm asking that to be waived. It's not really going to become anything else. That all roadways that lead up to a collector or higher would be stop conditions. So we make a recommendation for a one-way stop, Black Sheep Way at Spartan Road, and waiving the 90-day trial.
So moved.
Motion made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 3, consideration with possible action request for Alder Corpus Dax to review traffic patterns within the I-43 Business Center, provide recommendations on necessary improvements.
Yeah, I had a brief conversation with the Alder last week. Given the size of the I-43 Business Center, I wanted to find out if there was, say, some areas or intersections or segments in particular that were of concern or that the reports were received. And for that conversation, 3 intersections, Mason Challenger, Mason Ontario, and Challenger Voyager were the 3 that were brought up. The standard, there's problems during the peak hour, wait times are increased from the side street. And I know over at Ontario, there's been some concerns about lane markings, pavement markings, lane designation, that sort of thing. That understanding, I have no problem making a recommendation, refer to staff for study. We do have the alder here, if the alder would like to add to anything that I've already stated.
Nope, I mean, yep, I think those three are probably the main concern, especially that Voyager and Challenger intersection. Definitely if you're someone that's on Voyager trying to turn onto Challenger, you can easily be stuck there for quite a while.
Yep.
During those peak hours, so.
It operates as a two-way stop now. So the side street by Voyager, east-west, stops for Challenger, which is through movement.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we send this to staff for further study.
Motion been made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Initial request, consideration of possible action request by the traffic engineer to remove parking and traffic regulations on Lawrence Street and Acme Street due to street closure and vacation.
American Food,
Vacation that street?
yeah, both streets. American Food Groups is underway with a plant expansion. They actually have bought up a number of these homes along here, like on Henry, and there were some homes here, as you can see from this vintage aerial from probably 2018. So these are all bought up, and in essence, they're going to incorporate Acme and Lawrence, which for the most part over the years has really kind of disturbed them anyway. So the related and existing parking and traffic regulations on those streets really need to go away. So we've got some no parking, we've got some no stopping or standing zones, and of course, University being an arterial street, both of these streets have one-way stop conditions that will be removed. When it comes down to what we're actually going to be doing out there relative to signing, we'll pull all the parking signs, but we're gonna leave in the stop signs, but the stop signs really shouldn't be on our ordinance book anyways, because it's just like having a private driveway going up to an arterial street, so, and because they are still gonna have truck traffic, we're just gonna keep the stop signs up and in place, and they're fine with that as well. It just doesn't become a city regulation any longer. So with that, I will read in what my recommendations are specifically.
I have a question.
Yes?
Lawrence Street, that entire street's being, street closure and vacation?
Correct, yeah.
Even though that one business is still staying on the corner right there?
Are you talking here?
Yeah,
I believe they have access off of University.
okay.
Yeah, no, when this is all said and done, there's not gonna be any other businesses other than AFG that would have access off of the to be closed Acme and Lawrence. Now, I believe the closure vacation, starts somewhere obviously south. I mean, it splits somewhere down the line. I believe it all has to do with utility ownership in that area, but so those lines are, I'm not even sure if they're exactly determined yet at this point. All I know is that they're moving forward with this, and regardless of closure vacation, that status is, it doesn't matter to us from a traffic perspective. Just all those regulations need to be off of our ordinances. So, with that said, I'm looking for the removal of no parking zone west side Acme Street from its terminus to University. No parking zone east side of Acme from 0.70 feet south of University to University. Removing a two-hour parking 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday zone east side of Acme from its southern terminus to 0.70 feet south of University. Removing the no stopping or standing zone on the west side of Lawrence Street from a point 560 feet south of the University to University. Removing the no stopping or standing zone on the east side of Lawrence Street from a point 510 feet south of University to University. And removing the one-way stop condition at Acme at University and Lawrence at University. And again, this is kind of like item D2, where the 90-day trial would be suspended as well. These are permanent conditions. So we're asking that as well be waived.
Motion to approve per your suggestions.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 5, initial request, consideration of possible action on request for Alderman Stevens to review and potentially change the speed limit 25 zone on Northwest Webster Avenue from University Avenue to Vanderbilt Street.
This is actually the new North Webster Avenue. So the limits shown in the request, University to Vanderbilt. I can tell you from pulling the design study report from the recent reconstruction, there's actually a change in design speed at Klaus, so one block to the south. It's actually posted 35 from Klaus Street to the north. So you have Radisson to Klaus, and then here's Klaus, then to University is this stretch here, which is posted 25. And that area is actually, the design speed that I could pull from the design study report was 30 miles an hour. However, there's a lot of different items that go into selection of design speed, and as you can tell, this is a straightaway, there's no curves or anything like that. So there is a possibility that speed higher than the design speed could be posted, but that would have to actually have an engineering review to determine that. So at this point in time, actually there's another point I need to make too. For Wisconsin State Statute 349.11, authority to modify speed restrictions, all speed limit changes shall be based on a traffic engineering study, including modifications allowed under state statute. So it's not a matter of if a study would have to be done, recommending either for or against, or being neutral in the speed zone. It's still a requirement to have one on file. So if this is something that indeed the Commission would like to see study, this would have to get referred to staff for study.
I make a motion to refer to staff for study.
Okay, motion been made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Refer to staff. Motion been made to, and second refer to staff, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 6, initial request, consideration of possible action on the request by the traffic engineer to modify the parking restrictions on the east side of North Broadway at Kellogg Street.
As part of the rail yard project, many of you may know that Kellogg Street is being extended between Donald Driver Way and Broadway. So this whole segment in here, which kind of has been gravel and kind of had the appearance of a driveway access for many, many years, is actually an actual street. So that being said, that's changed the parking requirements that would be on the east side of North Broadway at the intersection. You know, the existing signage is conducive more to a T intersection and really not for an actual, full four-leg intersection. So we've evaluated it in our division and have some recommendations on how to make those modifications. So I do have a number of points, there's 6 of them here that I'm recommending on a 90-day trial. 4 of them for, actually 3 removal and 3 establishing. So the removals would be no parking zone east side of Broadway from a point 10 feet north of Kellogg to a point 50 feet south of Kellogg. Removing the 2-hour 7 to 7 Monday through Friday zone on the east side of Broadway from a point 205 feet south of Bond Street to a point 10 feet north of Kellogg. And removing the 2-hour 7 to 7 Monday through Friday zone on the east side of Broadway from a point 50 feet south of Kellogg Street to a point 175 feet south of Kellogg Street. Once we open all of that up, start with a fresh slate, we'd be establishing a no parking zone east side of Broadway from a point 85 feet north of Kellogg Street to a point 70 feet south of Kellogg Street. Establishing, or re-establishing, I should say, with different begin and end points would be the 2-hour 7 to 7 Monday through Friday zone east side of Kellogg, or east side of Broadway, sorry. from 200 feet south of Bond Street to about 35 feet north of Kellogg, and establishing a 2 hour 7-7 Monday through Friday zone on the east side of Broadway from a point 70 feet south of Kellogg Street to a point 175 feet south of Kellogg Street. That's my recommendation.
So moved.
So moved, or second.
Oh, go.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 7, initial request, consideration of possible action request by Alderman Johnson to establish a 2 hour 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday zone on the west side of Oakland Avenue from a point 58 feet north of Shawano Avenue to Hubbard Street.
Excuse me. And this is a request that has come by this commission, I think roughly around 2 years ago, when a business opened up in the, it was a former library property from years ago. And they did some work on the building, and I believe some site work as well. And in essence, they have clients that come into the establishment, and in essence, from what I understood at the time, and I'm presuming that hasn't changed, but I do see we have people in the gallery from that time frame, from I'm presuming the agency or the here. I do remember a face, so they could possibly maybe expand a little bit on that. But it's my understanding, because I believe third person that I have listed here in the comment form, Patricia Burry, correct? I believe I've spoken to on the phone, who's a resident on the west side of Oakland Street, north of where this establishment is located. And it's my understanding that we have employees and staff from the business parking on the street, and I think maybe there's some people that are for it, some people maybe against it. So yeah, it kind of sounds to me like maybe there's a some concern maybe of that. Staff has been neutral on this item. This is a street where it can accommodate based off of its width, parking on both sides of the street. So however it's regulated is really going to be up to the district and the neighbors and business in that area. So however that is decided, so like I said, staff staying neutral on this one.
Didn't we have this the last 3 to 4 months? Where we did something in this general area, or not?
No, this hasn't come to this commission recently. No, I mean, it may only seem 3 or 4 months ago, but it's actually
All right,
only a year and
okay.
2 years maybe.
All right.
Just as a little bit of history, it was more or less a 2 hour zone on that west side is what it was. I think we had like a longer, no parking here corner zone, but then the rest of it was 2 hour, but then that got removed as part of the discussion we had here.
All right. Well, if we have interested parties, should we open up the floor
I
then?
do recommend that.
Okay.
Motion to open the floor.
Second.
Motion made and second to open the floor to interested parties to speak, so I think you've got 3 or 4 of them there, so you want to call off one of them?
Okay.
You want them to speak into the, you got a mic up there, Dave, or the podium, or just let them speak from where they're at?
I think we'll be fine.
Fine, okay.
Yeah, this
All
room's
right.
got a pretty sensitive room mic, so.
All right, you want to call off the first name you have then?
Sure. Well, I've got 2 that I believe would be probably against the request, and then I have 1 for, so I guess
Hi,
whoever.
I just make one statement. My name is Steve Shevchik. Vanessa is also down. We own the Joe Fisk House and operate a business out of there. And my
Can you speak
understanding,
up just a little more, sir?
I'm sorry, my understanding from talking to Brian Johnson is that there was a complaint brought in. He brought that to my attention and said that we would, it'd probably be a good idea for us to be here for that. So I'm kind of curious what the complaint is.
Okay. Well, why don't we, seeing how everyone kind of knows where we ended, why don't we ask Patricia Beery to speak first. 137 North Oakland Avenue.
Yeah, can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, yeah, my name is Patricia Burry. I live at 137 North Oakland Avenue, right next door to the property in question, the Fisk House. My house is also a Fisk House. I have no complaints about the business itself. They're quiet, they're clean, they've made improvements to the property, everything is great, except the fact that the business is having employees, to my understanding, park on the street. And, I mean, this morning, there were 9 cars out there. When I left this afternoon, there were at least 5. And I know many streets in the city have parking on the street, but that's mostly for residential, you know, very short-term parking. And this has been going on almost daily, sometimes even on Sunday. And I do remember being at a city council meeting when the business was going in for their, you know, certification, application, whatever you want to call it. And they kind of indicated that Monday would be a busy day and there would be street parking. Fine, Monday, no problem. But, you know, hopefully this is a sign that their business is doing well, because they're out there now all the time. And my concern is it has occasionally disrupted snow removal, leaf removal. A couple times my trash wasn't picked up, you know, because the garbage truck can't get to the trash because there's a car blocking the way. It's hard to see to back out of my driveway. And this is right where, if you're familiar with the property, which I'm sure you are, it's where like Walnut kind of turns into Shawano, and there's kind of this curve there. And people really whip around there fast when they're turning north onto North Oakland Avenue, you know. And I'm afraid I'm gonna get rear-ended or back into somebody because I can't see to pull out of my driveway. And And, oh, the thing about the 2-hour sign, that was put in a long time ago because another business was having their employees park on our curb to reserve spaces for their customers. And the sign was put in, I don't know, quite a while ago, and it worked great. I mean, you know, people can still park there. You can go visit your friends and, you know, not get a ticket or whatever, but, you know, 2 hours is reasonable. I'm rambling here. But my main complaint is that the sign was taken down and I really wasn't notified about it. I know that supposedly there was some canvassing of the neighborhood done, and there was this 90-day, you know, period where you could, you know, voice a concern, and I know I'm way over that, you know, limit, but I didn't really realize it was gone until I was like, why are these cars here all the time? So anyway, there's that. That is really, you know, kind of my main beef. In terms of solutions, I don't know. I mean, maybe the business could enlarge their parking lot.
We're not able to expand it.
It's 1 at 10.
Sorry.
No, I would be interested to know why, but I'll take your word for that. Oh, and there is a no parking sign from here to the corner, and that is really far back on that intersection. So maybe that sign could be moved to that would be to the south. You know, I mean, that I don't know how many feet that is. That's probably a couple hundred feet. And, you know, maybe that sign could just be moved up and they could park more in front of their business, you know, because there's no driveway there that, you know, like with me, with my driveway, they're kind of parking right up by the driveway. And so that's why I'm saying it makes it hard for me to see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, no. Okay, yeah, yeah, and that's my driveway. It's been repaved since then. But, you know, can I approach this?
Sure.
I'm just saying, sometimes the cars are like right up here. And when I'm trying to get out of my driveway, you know, your vision is impeded. So I was just thinking, if this sign at least could be moved up somehow? I don't know, maybe there's some engineering reason why it can't,
When you
but
say,
I'm just spitballing here.
if I can interject real quick, when you say move up, which direction are you asking the sign to be moved? Closer
the
to
south.
Shawano or further
Closer
away?
to the stop sign,
Closer, okay.
see?
So it allows them to
Yeah,
park
like maybe
closer, I
more
guess.
toward here or something. I mean, like I said, the business is a good neighbor. Yeah, it's just the parking I'm concerned about.
So they're parked in front of your house and you can't get out, is that your major concern then?
Well, it's not that I can't get out, but it's just,
An
it's
issue
hard to
backing out,
see,
yeah.
and I'm concerned about, you know, as people kind of whip around that corner, that I'm gonna run into somebody, or they're gonna run into me.
So-
And it's also the leaf pickup, the snow removal, trash.
Okay.
It's not trash coming from them, I'm talking about my trash pickup.
Your weekly trash pickup gets, sometimes they don't pick up because there's parked in front of your, where your
Yeah,
garage.
I mean,
Where
it
your-
doesn't happen
Yes.
very often, but it has happened.
Okay.
Can I ask you where you put your garbage can?
Can you put my house back up on here?
That's your driveway.
Okay, yeah. Recycling here, trash here,
Okay,
because it's supposed to be, they're supposed to be like 4 feet apart.
right. Now, we have a 4-foot ordinance, meaning that a vehicle can legally park up to 4 foot to the apron. And if that's where you're putting your can, they're not gonna pick it up, and they, I guess technically they don't have to. What our operations people have told people that are in situations where parking is tight is actually just put it on your apron.
But then I
Because
can't
the
get my
grabber
car
can
out.
Then you would have to shuffle. But I mean, that's what they
What do you
tell
mean
people.
shuffle?
I mean, then you'd have to bring it out, move your car out, put it back there, and then leave. It happens all the time in single-car neighborhoods.
Right.
One sec.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Can we move that no parking closer to the stop sign?
Probably.
Parking in the corner.
I'm presuming we could probably move it almost up to where you see it widen out.
So you probably get 2 more cars right there.
That's probably about it, yeah. I would say probably 2 cars.
As long as we get a chance to speak about it first.
1 second,
You
you
will.
have your, how about yellows? You
What's that?
park with that 4-foot increment,
What about
would
it?
help to put yellow paint there?
Could, I mean, if the violations are frequent, I mean.
That would
if the
take care of her recycling and garbage, because that's her
Right.
concern on the apron there, that she can't back out of her driveway, which is back out when the recycling and garbage containers would be there, so.
Yeah, I mean, we paint curbs in areas where there's problems. We do it kind of on a, per request basis. It's very much more common in the stadium district.
Yeah,
But,
no, that's where I've seen it.
Yeah, but I mean, in a situation like this, if there are cars that are always parking that close to it, I mean, yeah, we could do it on the request of the resident. Not every resident likes, paint by their driveway. That's why we don't just do it automatically. We do it on a request-only basis.
I'm okay with yellow. I like yellow.
Green and gold, right?
Okay. So we've heard your concerns, so we're gonna move on to the other
Yeah.
group that wishes to, their
Thank you.
concerns. So,
Thank
thank you
you.
for coming, thank you. I don't know, want to call names, or you got,
I guess Vanessa, since you're standing, do you want to talk?
I would like to. So, I mean, I guess one of my things would be here is that in general, it is us parking on the street here. We don't have people parking that close. We take care not even to back into the driveway to turn around if we need to. I don't know who owns the street or who owns the terrace, but my guess is that's the city. In my neighborhood, anybody can park on the street that wants to park on the street, as long as they're not doing damage or blocking some sort of something. So, you know, as a business, we put at least probably $50,000 into a landscape around the business. We haven't hurt the area around. We have only brought up property values. We would like to put another parking lot in on our property, but we have to make sure that it would agree with the city's ordinance of green space. So while we'd like to do that, we don't know that we can do that at this point. If we had our clients parking on the street, it would be a constant in and out, rather than just in the parking spots. So we try to park on the street rather than having our clients backing in and out. We've also, you know, it just as far as good neighborship, we have actually shoveled the driveway of our neighbor because it hasn't been done on time or within a timely manner. We have disrupted a domestic dispute of our neighbor being thrown down on the ground in front of the house and called the police because we feel like we're doing what we can as good neighbors to make this a good neighborhood. We're also supporting the district by helping build up families. We have not, this is not an arterial street. This is not a street that people are in general using to get to. I mean, there's a lot of streets around us that can be used to get to other spaces. We have the Green Bay Zen Center, so a Buddhist Zen Center is there Sunday mornings. So that means there is increased traffic on a Saturday morning to practice Buddhist Zen. And there are probably about 20 people there, not even, probably every Sunday morning. Otherwise, there's very limited amount of people there on the weekends. This is not highly trafficked between Friday night and Sunday morning. Again, we do everything we can do. We've taken tours for people who are local, who want to see the building and see what improvements we've made. We feel like we want to serve the community. Again, I'm just not sure who owns the street and who owns the terrace. And we would be happy to have something put in between the driveway of her, where she is, to 6 feet or 3 feet or wherever it is. But again, I mean, I live in a neighborhood where it's not regulated. People can park there if they'd like to. And I don't think we're doing any damage. We don't have people walking on lawns. We check always to make sure that there's not any kind of trash or anything left by the people that are coming to attend our clinic. And we provide a service to the community. So that would be my...
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Question. So how many employee vehicles park on that street?
It can be anywhere from, because we only have 3 full-time people. So it can be anywhere from 3 to 6 would park there. And again, we would park in the driveway, but we prefer that we take care of and make sure that we're not parking awkwardly or
Sure.
disrespectfully. So we do that and hope that they park in the parking lot.
Monday mornings, we have a staff meeting, so that's why Monday mornings we have our staff meeting. So that's why it's higher on Monday morning.
So all 6 people are there at the same time then? Is that?
No, we have other staff that aren't full-time that.
That's what I meant, when your other part-time staff and your 3 cars are there, so then you have
Maybe.
Monday, is that kind of the?
Yep.
Okay.
Monday we have a 9 to 7.
Just trying to understand the,
And I, as Vanessa said, I asked my staff to be very mindful of the driveway and don't park too close. I've even said, don't turn around on the driveway.
Don't even pull in.
So we, you know, certainly I can understand if they wanna help put the yellow down for the 4 feet, just so it's easier to see, and to make sure she has space for garbage and recycling and leaf collection.
yeah, well, that would help with the leaf collection too, probably.
Yep.
There'd be enough room for leaf collection, would be paid for.
They went into that little corner, I
I was
guess.
gonna say, it's kind of a tight spot, because it sounds like you're parking every day, your business has grown to the extent that you're parking there every day then? Would that be
Well,
your-
our business
Side
really
or-
can't, as far as the business we do in that building, can't really expand anymore. We only have so much space there. So we really aren't anticipating having any more parking on the street than we currently do.
Okay.
Is that parking on both sides there?
No.
I think it's right restricted on the other side. Let's see. Yeah, it's restricted.
Mr. Chairman,
Did you hear that? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'm I'm sorry that I'm pointing. The lady sitting to your right, did you care to speak? I didn't get your name.
I didn't put anything out there, I was just.
Okay,
that's-
so we got it open, so whoever wants to speak, now's the time to
I think
speak,
she was-
because go back into business and you won't be able to speak, so.
And
Anything else you want to add to?
Well, just as I previously mentioned, the parking lot we currently have is 7 spots, one of them is handicapped. We cannot expand that. We already have a variance, a previous variance to have the parking lot where it is. As Vanessa said, we're looking in spring to look at potentially having, off of Oakland, there is a drive that's not paved, or maybe depending on green space allowance. We're certainly gonna look into that, but like she said, at this time, we can't do that right now. And the parking lot has been redone since that picture, and the sidewalks.
May I add something?
1 second. Did you have something you wanted to ask?
No.
Get that. Okay. Any questions of members here? No?
I just had one answer that I heard Vanessa, she had asked me about, or I'd asked a question about street right away. In a situation like this, from the back of walk, so your property's to the left, so anything from the back of walk into the street and then all the way to the other side of the back walk, that's considered street right away.
That's what I thought, I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're talking about a compromise, could we toss that out to see if it sounds good to them?
Sure.
I mean,
I saw, let's get,
so
Yeah,
what
well, I
if
think
we, what
that's-
if we moved the,
Before we do that, should we?
yeah,
You wanna make
do you have anything else then? Because that'll be your, okay. Okay, we'll give you one last rebuttal. Or
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to mention about the snow removal. My husband has back and neck injuries, so we do have a guy, a plow guy who comes in and does the driveway. And about this domestic disturbance, this is when I slipped in the driveway carrying groceries, and my husband did yell at me, but there was no physical domestic violence.
Okay, well,
He did
that's
not
not,
push
that's
me to
not
the
for our meeting,
ground.
so that's a different,
No,
let's,
I
I'm gonna
get
stop it
that.
right there, so.
Yeah, but I just
No.
wanted to mention about the snow removal, that
Okay,
we are addressing that.
yeah, if you're shoveling your snow, I mean, if you're not, the city will be, challenge you. Maybe it's, they don't shovel early enough when your clients are coming, so maybe that's something. Hopefully we can work out a little compromise that works for everybody here, so. All right, with that, let's entertain a motion to go back to regular business.
So,
Motion made and second, go back to regular business, okay? Dave, did you have something?
No,
Okay.
I know that there was some discussion about or at least it was mentioned about, is there any way to move this sign? There probably is. I don't know exactly why it is where it is. It does seem like it may be a little on the long side. You can see here, it looks like a while ago, this curb was actually painted yellow, so, there is a potential that it could be moved, and if it is indeed that 2 cars that we're assuming it would be, that's most likely gonna be 2 cars less in front of 137 North Oakland. So, letting those vehicles park closer to the intersection, that is, of course, if they choose to, that potentially could have some sort of an improvement for Patricia.
Okay.
I'm just gonna throw out there, as something that I would not consider, would be just putting a 2-hour zone in front of one parcel. We don't do that. We take zones, especially when it comes down to these hourly zones. That's why it was what it was before, all the way up to Hubbard Street, so. I just know every once in a while, sometimes people throw that one out there, and I'm like, that just becomes an enforcement nightmare.
so Dan and I were thinking if we can move that no parking closer to Shawano and then paint the 4 feet, does that sound like that would help enough?
I think that's a starting point that I was thinking myself that,
See how that goes?
start and, I don't know how many cars, I don't know. I know we're not a zoning, part of the zoning, but I mean, for their business, would they be zoned correctly then? not have enough parking there, Dave? Not that I want to open up that can of worms, but,
I don't know, I was not involved with that.
Yeah.
Part of it, that's more of a sixth floor discussion.
okay. Well, let's
Well, I
start.
can tell you this, though, the parking code has changed since they were occupying this space, and not to the point of where it would be more stringent. As a matter of fact, they've loosened up
Yeah, okay.
that where they don't require as much on-site.
All right. That's better.
So if it passed at one time, either that or, I have no idea, maybe it went through the Board of Appeals at one time, maybe you didn't have enough, and then they appealed it and it was successful, but even if it was brought now, since the regs have changed, there's a chance that, especially if they've been grandfathered in at Board of Appeals, you probably would have a snowball's
So it'd be,
chance of passing.
so they'd be okay with the parking they have here then?
Probably.
Okay. All right.
That's just a presumption, but
All right, I like your idea, starting there, as we say, sometimes baby steps, start in the right direction and see where it goes. I mean,
Well, it seems like the employees are parking there, so if we open 2 spots over here, should be 2 spots less down in front of her property.
so we-
now do they only park close to that driveway on those days where you have a staff meeting? Is that, I mean, because I heard you mention 9 cars. I'm presuming that's a maximum, and that's probably when that staff meeting is taking place, where there's other employees coming in. Does that sound about right? It's usually on a Monday morning?
No, it's kind of hit and miss, really.
Okay.
I have spoken to the owner of Taco Grill Mexico, which is directly across the street. So for that Monday morning meeting, I can remind my staff that he's allowing us to park on that side of the building because the meeting's done at 10, he opens at 10.
all right, that would be a
So I'll
good,
I'll certainly remind the staff to
Mhm.
park. We can get 4, maybe 5 if they get creative with parking there, but I can remind my staff for the Monday morning meeting to make sure they park there across the street.
Thank you, I was thinking that too. Have you asked the business?
He actually said we could use a whole lot, we don't need a whole lot, but even, 4 cars, that can make a big
I'll be,
difference.
the ultimate goal would be everybody be in harmony, and you sound like you're good neighbors, trying to be good neighbors, and I understand your concern that, you got cars in front of your house, but you are on a public street. We're gonna help you by moving the sign down and getting you yellow so you can get out of your driveway, which is, a lot
No,
of
that's,
people, a lot of people in the
that would
city
be
have to
great.
live with that, so.
That would be great.
All right, why don't we, have a motion, so we wanna make that
to-
motion?
Yeah, move the no parking sign closer to Shawno, I guess, as close as you, whatever the
Is there a-
regulations allow.
There must be a limit date, how close that can be to the intersection, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm
Nothing
guessing.
that really says anything, but it's all gonna depend on the geometry there. I mean, I usually just look at it and it's usually gonna be 3 to 4 cars lengths, but so 75 to 100 feet.
So reasonable person standard.
Yeah, so, but these images are sometimes very difficult
Right,
to judge
and
distance.
that's why I asked, it's,
So, I mean, we'll do what we can
Okay.
for safety and things like that, but my guess is it's gonna be 1 to 2 vehicles of an improvement.
Okay. And then does the resident have to ask for the yellow paint?
We can do that at staff level. I mean, if you wanna make it part of the motion, that's fine, it's not required, but, just get it all, I think, all in one, you
Okay.
can. And then I'll just get it on the list for spring.
Yeah, because the resident was good with the yellow paint, so I added to your
All right, and
motion.
then, 4 feet of yellow paint on each side of the apron.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion been made. Got a second from Alder Stevens. Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, we'll go with that and see how it works out. Like I said, continue to try to be good neighbors.
Thank you.
Ask of each other, so thank you for coming. Okay, 7, I'm off 8. Termination here, Dave, you want to run some of these together?
Sure, 8, 9, and 10 all together. These are intersection control changes needed for rail yard. Let's see, Victoria, number 11 is on its own. Sunrise, the next 12 through 15 are all the same, so you really got kind of 3 groups.
Okay,
So yeah, I said 8, 9, and 10, those definitely should be moving towards ordinance. No stopping or standing zone, Victoria. that was due to change of the school property not being there anymore. So residents asked for that to be removed. That has been successful. And the Skyline Boulevard items, this was all part of that speed study that we did. And I haven't heard anything good, bad, or ugly on this. I don't know if you have, Craig?
Oh, nobody said anything.
No, they were all happy from what I remember,
Yep.
so. So I make a recommendation, 8 and 15 in mass for approval.
So moved.
Motion been made, seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Informational next meeting, Monday, March 16th. Anybody know that they won't be here? It's a vacation month, March for getaway.
I'll do that.
You
I
won't.
am, but I'll be
I
back
will
on
be
it.
Are you vacationing?
I will
When's
be.
your last trip?
Good for you. Bad for Dave, but
Bad for me,
I did.
bad for me.
But
you
it
deserve
was
it,
for
so.
school.
Thank you.
Deserve it. Have fun, enjoy.
Not-
Anybody else gonna be gone in March that they know of? Nope, all right. With that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it, or a second, please.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. All right.
It's hard when two people say it.
Yeah. Stop for that.
I see your traffic enforcement must be working.
All right, stop.